Here's Mark and Katie. This is from last night.
Keegan, thanks a lot for joining us for the big-time game tonight, man. Look really comfortable out there, 5 of 6 from downtown. Tell us about what you liked about the way you played tonight and what you didn't like.
Yeah, I just think I got the shots I wanted, the shots that I knew that I could make. So it was really easy playing with the starting five, Sabonis and those guys, just playing off of them. And I just think that we have a lot of room to improve defensively as a team, especially in the second quarter. They had 36 points that quarter, so just go back to the chalkboard and try and get that right.
Just unimpressed with everything. Yo, man, that Keegan Murray at least 37 years old. He got the mentality of a grown ass man out there. He's a 15, 16 year vet.
At some point, though, I do want him to big up himself. I was feeling good out there. I was shooting the ball really well. Don't want him to turn into Derek Carr.
No, we don't want that. We do not want that at all.
Derek Carr, you guys won the AFC West. Yeah, the interception was my fault, and I've got to be better. And you didn't have any interceptions. I know, but it was a near interception, and it was my fault.
I threw one in my head. Keegan had a turnover in his brain, and he's really upset about it. Like he thought he just had a vision of turning the ball over, and he just went and apologized to Coach Mike Brown. And man, that seemed to be, we're going to talk a lot about this when James joins us, but that sure seems to be the theme coming out of last night. Certainly what they did offensively, they made 21 threes last night. I don't believe that that's the difference between them winning and losing a game. I think that's the difference between them winning a game and winning a game by a lot. That three ball just dropped beautifully for them. But we heard post game, Terrence Davis got some early game action yesterday. He checked in pretty early. Keegan Murray, Alex Len, Terrence Davis all checked in around the 6:35 mark and played with Fox and Kevin Huerter. TD got the old Sandman cane pretty quick. Yeah. He got run off the Apollo stage, but he said post game he missed a couple of defensive assignments and Mike pulled him. And that was something that seemed to have become a prevailing theme in the conversations last night. Accountability. I heard Deuce talking on night chat for most of you, morning chat for me. I heard Deuce talking about Mike pushing these guys at shoot around earlier in the day. And man, accountability seemed to be the word coming out of last night's game.
Yeah, and to me that goes twofold, right? Because I love to see that from Coach Brown and him holding these guys accountable and staying committed to whatever their process is. I love to see that. But also you got guys like Terrence Davis who, when they're called to task for something, accept it. They have their own level of accountability, their personal accountability, not to pout, not to get mad that he was taken out. He said, no, I didn't do my job and I got pulled out. And next time I get an opportunity, I'm going to make sure I'm on top of it. And we saw him play better defense next time he was out there. Had a big block, went coast to coast, passed it to KZ for the transition jam. So I think a lot of the times that goes both ways. And I think that's more so what I would always get at, right? When, we would talk about, the pass coach and Luke and all this other stuff and no accountability. Well, it's not the fact that he wasn't saying it. It was the two-way street of he's saying it. Maybe he didn't pull him out the way Mike Brown did, but he's saying it. But also these guys understanding, like, nah, he's right. I have to be better.
Well, but if there are no consequences for not doing something, what stops you from not doing it?
Wanting to be better, like not wanting to suck. Okay. Like I understand it, but that's all I'm saying. There's a person.
You wouldn't tell Reese to not do something if you told Reese to not do something over and over and over again, eventually you're going to punish him for it.
I understand what you're saying. We're talking about grown ass men, not a 9-year-old.
But how is the mentality different? Oh,
because you should have the personal pride not to want to suck. Like if you're watching the same film everybody else is, You're the one standing there, not getting over and rotating.
But the point is, clearly, that didn't work.
That did not work.
Because we've been through this for years. Like, it didn't work. You had to find a different approach. And whether whether it's a different approach or just Mike's approach, it was, okay, you missed one assignment. All right, hey, let's do this. Let's go. You could hear Mike yelling the whole game from the sideline when the crowd wasn't roaring. And then, okay, you missed another one. All right, sit down.
Yeah.
That's the approach now. And clearly it registered with Terrence.
Yeah,
he brought it up.
Don't get it twisted. I have no problem with Mike Brown doing that. And it seems like that didn't happen before. I get all that. I'm just saying I like Terrence's approach too, where if he did get pulled or if he did get yelled at because of it, he's not sitting there sulking and pouting. He's like, you know what? You're right. I have to be better. You know what I mean? And if that results in him being better and learning it while being in the game, or him being better and realizing that on the bench because he got pulled, one way or another, he has to realize at some point he's got to be better and accept that and not make the same mistakes. That's all I was saying was kudos to him as well as Coach Brown for not sitting there and being like, oh, coach is tripping. It's just a preseason game. Nah, it's time to be better.
It's an approach that clearly has their attention. Again, you go through some of the media scrum last night and you heard the word accountability a lot. And, you know, as amazing as it was to watch that 3 fall the way that it did for the Sacramento Kings last night, it gave up 94 points. And you heard Keegan took the second quarter particularly hard where they gave up 34. Now, for context, the Kings scored 39 in that quarter. So they didn't even lose that quarter in which they gave up 34 points. But he knows that when they sit down, you know, last night, when they sit down for film today, which I'm sure they already have, that second quarter is going to be a big focus where they gave up those 34 points. And it's hard not to look at these two games and go, okay, I don't know how much better they are defensively, but they are better defensively. There's a million factors that are that make it difficult to truly evaluate what we're looking at here. And most of it is that it's preseason with limited minutes. But I'm not going to look down at it either. Like, okay, the foundation is there. There's clearly the ability, the want, the need, and the desire to play better defense. And through 2 preseason games, we've seen them do just that.
Yeah, I look at the way they play, and I feel like that's a little bit of a product of, you know, the up and down nature of the defense. Number one, that's just the players that they have. They don't have like these primarily focused defensive players. So there's going to be lulls in that. I get that. I accept that. You just want to make sure they don't last over the course of a whole game, right? You know, the second quarter, oh man, we got to step up. We got to be better. Correct it there, whether it's the coach or the players or a combination of both, and not let that linger into the third and fourth quarters. Or if you're in the fourth quarter and you're having a little bit of a lull on the defensive end, you snap out of it after the first time out, you know, and you're knocking that out immediately, as opposed to, we saw the last couple of years, these lulls would last for games, like consecutive games. You know what I'm saying? So
these lulls would last for seasons. Stretch from one season to the other.
Yeah. So, you know, you don't want that to continue by any means. And, you know, they gave up 94 points. It seems like a lot, but I mean, 94 last year, let me pull it up real quick. I think that's 10 below the best team in the league.
While you're looking at it, Will Z, who was just fiending for stats, got these to us. In their 2 games so far, the Kings have a defensive rating of 83.7. That's first in the NBA. They've held their opponents to 84.5 points per game. That's first in the NBA. They've held their opponents to 35.6 field goal percentage. That's first in the NBA. 22.5 turnovers. That's first. They've held their opponents to just 4 fast break points. That's first. 9 points off of turnovers. they're slacking. That's second. They're playing. It's preseason. You can turn your nose up at this all you want to, but they're playing better defensively. I don't expect them to be the Boston Celtics of the second half of the season this year. I don't expect them to remain first in all of these categories through the season, but that's not what we asked for. We asked you not to suck, and it's very clear that this team is invested in the way that they play defense this season.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
What would you personal pride?
Personal pride, man. You know, one of the things that I think about watching these two games and watching the way Mike Brown goes about these things is I feel like we talked about it before when he was hired and the rosters put together. It feels like, we don't know just yet, but it feels like a perfect pairing of the way the coach, his style of coaching, and where almost all these players are at in their careers. And I thought about that because remember when we had Matt Barnes on and he talked about playing under Mike Brown and how Mike Brown, it did not go well in the Laker locker room.
He just said he didn't have if I recall correctly, because he said the same thing on the Hulu doc, that Mike just didn't have the respect of that locker room.
Right. And I think about the timing. So some of the things that stand out to me is, and I know it's preseason, but the game is 2-2 or whatever the case may be. Somebody hits a three, Mike calls a timeout. And I can imagine if he does that with Kobe and Lamar Odom, what are you doing, bro? Like, what are you doing? Yeah. What's going on around here? Hey, we didn't win champion. We didn't been in the NBA finals. I don't need you micromanaging me. Like, leave me alone, bro. I'm not for all that. I could imagine them having that type of feeling because they've accomplished a whole lot. This group, they need that. They're all these guys are fighting for something, whether it's a contract, respect around the league, playing time, whatever. They all have a lot on the line, and they're super focused on what they need to do to accomplish all these goals, team goals and individual goals. And a guy like Mike Brown coming in and being very a guy that micromanages every single aspect of what they do at the very start, I think that works a lot better with this group as opposed to like a Lakers veteran group. And
maybe more a championship veteran group.
Yeah. I just think that works because I could see where that wouldn't work. The way he handled Terrence Davis the one time coming off when he subbed him out and he told him he missed it one time and all this other stuff. Say that to Lamar Odom, you might say, get out of my face at that particular time, but Terrence Davis he's fighting for his career. He's going to be more apt to listen to what Mike Brown is saying and listen and have the cachet of somebody like Mike Brown who's been in the league and won championships and be like, yeah, I got to listen to this guy. It's my last hope in this league.
Yeah, the word that always comes up, I think, as recently as De'Aaron Fox's conversation with J.A. last week in the Sacramento Bee was when talking about Mike Brown was detail. Mm-hmm. And certainly De'Aaron wasn't the first to say that. He was the latest to say that. Everybody says that about Mike Brown. He is so detail-oriented. And for a team that had a coach that handed out books about meditating, maybe detail wasn't on the basketball floor wasn't what they were looking for. Yeah. Phil Jackson seemed to be more in tune with the details of your personality than anything else. And Mike having, man, it's a great point where it's a great point that you make there that detail. That's what this group needs. Goes back to the hiring process. Mike is the perfect coach for this team.
Yeah, I think it's a great pairing, man. It's a great pairing. This group, that coach, they both need each other in a major way. I love it. I love what I'm seeing so far.